Thanks, Dean, for the eloquent introduction, and thanks everyone for coming and listening to all of us talk about these things that we love. My name is Martin, and this is John. He's in the audience. We're Praxis Information Science, and we're talking about Zi6 today, which is our customer relationship management plugin for Google Apps. So, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Well, right now, there's really high management buy-in for CRM. However, sometimes there's kind of low customer employee adoption. And that's a really big deal for people who are responsible for these kinds of systems. In fact, right now we're hearing that there are two main complaints: usability. Some of these CRM systems are a little hard to use, and data integration. In other words, typing something once kind of trumps typing it twice. So what have we done to try to solve this problem? Well, first of all, we focused on Google Apps as our niche market. And what that means to us is that we provide tight integration into Google data, and we also embed our solution directly into the page. So I'll give you just a flavor of what it's like to use our product, Zi6. This is just a quick video, about a minute or 2 minutes. Usually, for those of you who aren't familiar with CRM, what you're doing is tracking opportunities and accounts in your sales pipeline. So it kind of gives you a sense of where your business is today and where you're going in the next, say, 6 months. So right now, for example, if I'm trying to do some work with Widgets Inc., which of course is the frequent example, I may want to attach a contact, for example. You know, I've had a couple meetings with people. Well, contacts in Zi6 are directly linked up to the Google APIs, so all of your contacts that are in Google are immediately available to Zi6. Now, there are tasks and notes, and these are things you've seen before, but where it gets kind of interesting is appointments and documents. Whenever you add an event into Zi6, it's going to go directly to your Google Calendar. And we actually create these scaffoldings in both calendars and documents so that you have synchronized folders and calendars in Google Calendar and Google Docs that kind of match up with all the opportunities and accounts that you're managing inside Zi6. That was appointments, and we're going to go over to documents. And you know, there are other features here, emails. Every opportunity you have has a dedicated email, and that's kind of cool because you can forward any correspondence you might be having with a prospect directly to the system. But basically, all of this becomes really valuable once you have a few opportunities and accounts in the system, and you can go back over and look at your pipeline. So a pipeline is like a bird's eye view of everything that's going on in your company. And so, for example, if you have a number of different salespeople, you can track different opportunities and accounts according to salespeople, but also according to the stage that the opportunity is in the pipeline. So negotiation or prospecting or closed. And that's where these kinds of systems become really valuable. So this is what a pipeline looks like. And you can track a lead all the way from prospecting onto closed. So that's just a really quick view of what we've been working on. What's the market for this sort of product right now? Well, there are about 200 million users on Google Apps and Gmail today, but that's growing. In fact, we're expecting about 350 million users in the next couple of years. So right now, the CRM industry is worth about $9 billion market cap. And that's growing at a pretty good clip, about 15% year over year. So there are a lot of users on Gmail and Google Apps. There are a lot of businesses on Gmail and Google Apps. So what that means to us today is that our target market is about 20 million users. But better than that, in 2 years, it's going to be about 40 million users. So that's kind of the ecosystem we're working in today. So what's our competition? We can't be the only people in this field. Well, you can't talk about CRM without talking about Salesforce. Salesforce has integration with Google Apps, but we have a different approach. Basically, the Salesforce approach is to send people from Google Apps back to Salesforce. And what we've done by embedding our system directly in the Google interface, it's provided an alternative approach that we think is going to be really attractive to some businesses that have adopted Google Apps as their productivity suite. Another company that's interesting is ManyMoon. They're more of a project management suite, but an interesting success story. They have great hooks into Google Apps, and last month they sold their business for about $30 million. A couple other companies that we're watching are Insightly and Heap, which just working in the same space. So what differentiates us? What's our secret sauce? Well, 3 things. First of all, we're the only solution that's on the page right now. We've put a lot of thought into data integration with the various kinds of tools that Google offers, and we think we've got a really good solution there. And finally, by piggybacking on top of all the tools that you already use, we don't need to migrate people over to a new system, and also it net reduces our maintenance costs as well. So what's the plan? How do you make a business out of this? We have a production launch next month. We're essentially at a bug-free release today. We're going to be offering the system as software as a service, $9 per user per month, which is roughly the market. And we're opening our first round of financing now to ramp up marketing. We expect break even in 12 months, and we have a goal of 75,000 users after 3 years. So what have we done so far? Well, late stage beta, software's in a pretty good place. Also, we have 600 beta users from businesses that are giving us great feedback, telling us what's working and what's not. We've signed up 18 service resellers. These are Google Apps solution providers that provide training and support for Google Apps, and they'll be able to speak on behalf of us to their customers. This is really exciting. It's worth about 40,000 users right now. And we've signed up one ride-along distributor, which is a plugin for Gmail that provides social networking inside of the Gmail DOM. And we're building actually a plugin to this system, which will give us exposure to about 300,000 additional users. So what are our goals for this year and next? We have a social strategy to link into the various social networks. We have a mobile strategy to get into the various mobile platforms. We think these 2 things are very important for CRM right now. Third-party integration, we've started to integrate with Sugar and Salesforce to apply our app as a sort of a metaware to larger systems. We think SAP and Oracle are other really good candidates for this. Lead resale, we'll be able to tap into the Dun & Bradstreet contact database and actually sell leads if you're working on an opportunity for a company. We'll be able to do this through the Hoovers API. And finally, deeper integration on the page. There's lots more work in what we've already been doing. So, thanks again, and any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Sorry.
Thank you. You guys get to go first. No?
Or if not, that's cool too.
I think I have a question.
You have a question?
No, you want to go?
No, go first.
Yes. What's the commission on the product or service resellers?
20%.
20%? Yeah. And can you talk a little bit more about your mobile strategy? Is it going to be a separate app, or is it going to be built into the Gmail?
Sure. So what we're thinking about right now, and this is something we're going to be working on in the next year and a half, but we built our application as an API. So all of our data actually lives on App Engine, and we serve it up as JSON for any geeks in the room. Okay, so we built our client that goes into Gmail in jQuery, which is a sort of an aliasing language for JavaScript. Well, jQuery has a mobile edition, jQuery Mobile. And we're thinking right now that we're going to start with offering a web app that is embedded into the various sort of wrappers, so you can make it native in iPhone. And that will allow us to, by using jQuery Mobile, to get on 5 platforms pretty quickly. Yeah, that's what we're thinking right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So your focus was around sort of Salesforce and SAP, the kind of big companies. That customer demographic doesn't seem to skew towards Google Apps as their backend, right? What is your play against Insightly and the people who are actually at your $9 price point?
Right. So what's the differentiation there?
Yeah. Or how do you see? That's who you're really competing with right now.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So right now our target audience, they're small companies. They're like 20, 30, maybe as many as 100 people. So SMEs. And Insightly and Heap are some other companies that are more likely to be in that space right now. So the way we've differentiated is simply that we've actually embedded everything in the DOM right there, so you don't have to go anywhere. And we do have some really different ways that we're dealing with the Google APIs, so that everything is synchronized across all your systems. I think we've done a better job there. That's my opinion. Yeah, so that's how we're competing with those guys. Hey, Josh.
So how does your email integration work? Like if I email someone, do you know about it, or do I have to BCC your special address, or do you pull anything out of the email?
Yeah, so we actually have access to all of the Gmail stuff through OpenID directly to their SMTP server, or accounts. So we will be able to do a heck of a lot in terms of automatically identifying people who you've attached to certain accounts.
But you don't.
But currently, we don't do that yet. No, we haven't. We're not doing that. What we do is we have a receiver, an email receiver, where there's a specific ID that's attached to each account or opportunity that you're working on, and when you send to that email address, it pops up in the interface. But we have more to do here, and we do have actually access through the way that we're authenticating the user.
So any thoughts to make it more Zomni-like with some extensions so you can be part of the API tool as well?
We haven't really done much work in terms of business intelligence. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, guys.